The first impeachment inquiry is now complete, and the takeaway? Subpoenas are going out to the Biden crime family bank accounts. Joe Biden and Hunter Biden, they're gonna get them. And we see this from James Comer at the first hearing. We've also got clips from Byron Donalds, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and then this woman, Democrat Representative Crockett, who says that she is concerned about documents who are in the crapper. We'll listen to what she says. But first, the subpoenas coming from James Comer over to Biden and co. Here's what it sounds like when he launched them.
The witnesses today have all identified the evidence the committee has uncovered as deserving further inquiry. And that is what this committee will do,
nice.
No matter where that evidence leads. I want to thank the witnesses for their testimony today. It confirms the evidence compiled by this committee justifies the investigation of Joe Biden's role in his family's international business schemes and justifies the next step of this investigation. One of those steps is gaining insight into where the Biden's foreign money ended up, for what purposes. Therefore, today, I will subpoena the bank records of Hunter Biden, James Biden, and their affiliated companies.
Hey-o! Subpoenas going out. We like to hear that. All right, so that is James Comer, and that's what we want to see. We know that they probably are not going to find gold bars in those bank accounts, but they might find big fat transactions, and we'll be curious to see what those are. So subpoenas are flying. You heard him talk about the evidence, and of course, there is a lot of evidence. One person who put that all on display is Byron Donalds, and he brought charts with him in front of the House.
Mr. Dubinsky, I want to come to you quickly. A lot of talk about evidence. On the screens in the room, we have an organizational chart from the IRS investigative team that was looking into the business practices of Hunter Biden and his associates. This org chart is from 2014. Now, Mr. Dubinsky, when my former life, I was in community banking, and I'm comfortable with looking at organizational charts. When I first saw this chart, the first thing I thought about was a real estate holding company or a developer, and this is not to demean developers in the great east state of America, but developers typically have multiple companies that float with various business interests and business lines. But the funny thing is that in the business dealings of Hunter Biden, there is no real estate, none at all. So Mr. Dubinsky, in your professional experience, looking at this organizational chart of business structure, what do you see here?
I see a very complicated structure
Fraud,
of entities
corruption.
that are interrelated and would give me concern. If I were an investigator, I would want to know what's going on in these entities, who's behind them, how's the money moving between them, and what is the substance of the transactions? What's really going on here?
Mr. Dubinsky, do you think it's in the interest of this committee that is now in an inquiry phase to actually find out all of the flow of money between these entities and what the purpose was?
Absolutely.
Next slide, please. For my colleagues on the other side, we're going to start talking evidence now. This is now a slide of the organizational chart of the Hunter Biden business companies and with associates from 2018, from the same IRS investigators who were broke down the business structure in 2014. Does this slide cause you the same concern, Mr. Dubinsky?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Now let's talk about some more. Actually, one point I want to make on this. Ladies and gentlemen, and I know it's kind of small, so I would love to submit all this for the record. I would love my colleagues on the other side to see this. In 2014, one of the key owners was Devin Archer, who did testify and was under deposition under oath by the Oversight Committee. In 2018, Devin Archer is no longer listed, but his wife, Krista Archer, is now listed. Mr. Dubinsky, when you see a situation where ownership interest moves from one spouse to the other, is that a concern of some level of fraud potentially?
I would call it a red flag. That's something I would look at and, again, try to get to the bottom of what happened there. Was it just transferred? Was there money behind it? What was going on?
Okay, thank you. Next slide. Now, this is to a text message. This is a text message it's going to Naomi Biden. That's what this one is. Hold on, let me get my stuff back. There we go. Sorry. This is the WhatsApp text message between Jim Biden and Hunter Biden. In this text message, it clearly says, anyway, we can talk later, but you've been drawn into something purely for the purpose of protecting Dad.
Let me give full context on this. Message looks like it's Hunter Biden sending this to Jim Biden, right? And they've got this recreated, it looks like, from 3/21/2018. Hunter sends to Jim, the president's bro. Send me text saying what you told me over the phone, please. If you no longer wish to be involved in this venture, regardless of how tangentially I need it in writing. Because you have pointed out over and over again, this is Hunter, you cannot be my uncle or my protector and counsel if you don't have all the information. Well, this time I don't have any information information at all. And these guys may or may not be something different than I thought. I promise I did everything I could to make certain that they adhered to our standards. But Jesus, this is insanely complicated, Hunter. Anyway, we can talk later, but you have been drawn into something purely for the purpose of protecting Dad. And I know any of the BS money is mine ultimately. And I know any of the BS money is mine ultimately. And I don't know if BS is referencing something.
This is between Hunter Biden and Jim Biden. Last time I checked, the father of Jim Biden and Joe Biden is now passed away. So I'm assuming this is Hunter Biden saying to Jim Biden, the president's brother, that you've been brought in this for the sole purpose of protecting Dad. Miss O'Connor, do you think that this text message would lead this committee to get further information about the business dealings of Hunter Biden and how that actually links to Jim Biden, the president's brother, and why they are so concerned with protecting Dad, a.k.a. Joe Biden, a.k.a. the president of the United States?
Yes.
Thank you. Next slide, please.
Let's go.
This is a text message between Hunter Biden and Naomi Biden. This one is a famous one. Everybody knows this. This is the famous one that says, I hope you all do what I did and pay for everything for this entire family for 30 years. It's really hard. But don't worry, unlike Pop, I won't make you give me half your salary. Mr. Dubinsky, if you saw a text message like this in a potential money laundering operation or a potential pay-for-play operation, would you be looking for information related to money going from son to father?
Absolutely, without a doubt.
Thank you. Next slide.
Next slide. Love it.
Oh, this is a fun one. Ladies and gentlemen, this one is from 2018. This is about 4 months before Joe Biden launched his campaign for president of the United States. December 2018. The highlight is...
Let me read the full thing for us. December 2018. This can work. You need a safe harbor. Quote, highlight. I can work with your father alone. Double exclamation. We as usual just need several months of his help for this to work. Hunter and Jim, we just, as usual, just need several months of his help for this to work. Hey, let's just do it again. We only need a few months. We've done this before, as usual. Hello. So Jim's saying to Hunter, let's talk about it. It makes perfect sense to me. This is difficult to fully vet without talking. Will you please call me on WhatsApp, WA? We can develop a plan together. It can work. I'm going to try to call you again. Please answer. He's cracked out somewhere. I can and I will. Crisis with Caroline. Same problem with P, quotes. And New York Post. Dealing with it as we speak. She is okay. I believe I have it under control. I get back to you ASAP. I can work with your father alone. We, as usual, just need several months of his help. We need, as usual, his help. He's on the other side of the whole equation.
This is a text message between Jim Biden and Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden was in a bad way, by the way. He was really strung out. He lost a bunch of money. He needed help. Jim Biden says, this can work. You need a safe harbor. I can work with your father alone. It'll probably take several months and everybody can read the text. Miss O'Connor, Mr. Dubinsky, if you saw a text message like this between the president's brother and the president's son, wouldn't you be concerned about them trying to give plausible deniability for the president of the United States to not have any knowledge of said business dealings?
It's worth
Gentlemen's time's expired, but please answer the question.
it's worth investigating.
It sure...
Mr. Dubinsky?
I would agree. I would investigate this.
I yield back.
Hey, Byron Donalds. Love it. Next slide. Next. All right, love it. So we like to hear that. Now, Byron Donalds had a very nice presentation for us, and he came with his charts and his slides, and the Democrats came with their charts and their slides as well. And this is what their side sounded like, which is why we're not going to listen to much of their side today. But this is Miss Crockett, who is responding and articulating the Democrat belief about this hearing.
But when we start talking about things that look like evidence, they want to act like they blind. They don't know what this is. These are national secrets. Looks like in the shitter to me.
Okay.
This looks like more evidence of our national secrets, say on a stage at Mar-a-Lago. When we're talking about somebody that's committed high crimes, it's at least indictments. Let's say 32 counts related to unauthorized retention of national security secrets, 7 counts related to obstructing the investigation, 3 false statements, 1 count of conspiracy to defraud the United States, falsifying business records, conspiracy to defraud the United States, 2 counts related to efforts to obstruct the vote certification proceedings, 1 count of conspiracy to violate civil rights, 23 counts related to forgery or false document statements, 8 counts related related to soliciting, and I could go on because he's got 91 counts pending right now. But I will tell you what the president has been guilty of. He has unfortunately been guilty of loving his child unconditionally, and that is the only evidence that they have brought forward. And honestly, I hope and pray that my parents love me half as much as he loves his child. Until they find some evidence, we need to get back to the people's work, which means keeping this government open so that people don't go hungry in the streets of the United States. And I will yield.
Okay, so we have a situation in Congress, it sounded like, because I think she's confused because something happened where she just read off a bunch of indictment charges. I don't know what point she's making because Donald Trump has literally been indicted for those things. So the DOJ is already working against one person they allegedly suspect of a crime. All the Republicans are saying is prosecute Joe Biden, right? So she's kind of making their point. Like she's making the Republicans' point. Look, Trump has been prosecuted 91 times, blah, 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 blah. Okay, he has been indicted. Are you upset that he has not been indicted? He's already been impeached twice. He's been indicted 4 times. What else do you want? Do you want him to be executed? Like he's already been indicted. What else do you want to indict him again or again and again and again and again? What are you even complaining about that for? This is a Biden hearing and she's talking about Trump's docs in the crapper. So, all right. Anyways, that's what's happening in Congress. Now, Marjorie Taylor Greene also came and she brought some documents that she tried to get admitted. Let's see if this works. Here it is.
Ms. Greene from Georgia.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On July 25th, 2023, Chairman Comer and I sent the Department of Justice a letter requesting information related to victims of Hunter Biden, specifically women he sexually exploited and then claimed as deductions on his taxes through his law firm. But he never paid those taxes. Not surprisingly, the Department of Justice did not respond. After the DOJ's sweetheart Hunter Biden deal fell apart, by the way, led by the special counsel David Weiss, on September 8th, 2023, Chairman Comer and I again sent a letter to the same DOJ officials asking about victims' rights issues related to Hunter Biden's sexual exploitations. DOJ once again failed to respond. Well, yesterday I found out why they don't want to talk with us. In a new email just released, by the way, from October 2020, could you please display the email? The Delaware U.S. Attorney's Office, DOJ, Tax, FBI, and IRS described evidence they have related to Mann Act violations. By the way, the subject of the email says Mann Act. First, the title, Mann Act. Then, it's clear there are charges on the table while the Department of Justice is in hiding from meeting with me. The Department of Justice and IRS email and David Weiss's Delaware U.S. Attorney's Office. The email states there are communications with trafficker number 1 and trafficker number 2, and that Hunter Biden had escorts who traveled across state lines. These women are victims, and the Department of Justice is refusing to protect their rights. Not only that, David Weiss, the now special counsel in charge of supposedly investigating Hunter Biden, has been clearly covering up Hunter Biden's crimes since before the 2020 election, which is undoubtedly election interference. David Weiss is complicit and must be removed from the special counsel.
Absolutely. I can't believe he got promoted in the first place.
We also have more information we subpoenaed. Let me give you an even better example based on an interview with one of Hunter Biden's victims with law enforcement. It says here that the victim, Hunter Biden's victim, stated that Biden told her that his father was the vice president and asked to Google search his name. Hunter Biden's victim stated she told Biden she was not interested in Google searching his name and just wanted to be paid. Hunter Biden's victim stated that Biden then showed her a picture of his father with President Barack Obama. Don't forget, his father was vice president then. Hunter Biden's victim stated after she was shown the aforementioned picture, who was the vice president of the United States with the president of the United States, Barack Obama, she became afraid. After Hunter Biden's victim left the location, she arrived back at her apartment and told her friend, who she was just with, Hunter Biden's victim stated that her friend told her, "You have no idea who you're dealing with." These women were terrified.
And trafficked around and covered up.
Hunter Biden used his father, the vice president of the United States, to threaten his victim, who he had just trafficked for sex. And the Department of Justice refuses to speak to me. Hunter Biden needs to be held accountable for his sexual exploitation of women. And we've shown more evidence. We've shown evidence. This is what it looks like. This is what Mann Act violations look like.
Mr. Chairman,
I reclaim my time.
I'd like to challenge the use of this exhibit under Clause 6 of Rule 17.
It is sad that my Democrat
Point of order.
colleagues
Point of order.
pretend to care about women's rights while allowing Hunter Biden to exploit women. This is a shame. But let's talk about...
Chairman, there's
go
a
little
parliamentary challenge before us.
The point of
Mr.
order.
Chairman, point of order.
Who's the point? And we'll stop the clock for you, Ms. Green.
Mr. Chairman, our colleague from Georgia has introduced before pornographic exhibits and displayed things that are really not suitable for
They're Hunter.
children who might be watching.
Hunter stuff.
A bathing suit's not suitable, Mr.
It's a
Ratcliffe?
bathing suit.
I'm saying I would like the member to be instructed to not introduce any pornography today, at least without running
A
into the chair
bathing
first.
suit is not pornography,
Well, we
Mr.
can't see it
Raskin.
from down there, so you didn't make it available to the minority before you
Seen
started.
it before.
It's a
on
bathing
on
suit.
the internet. It's everywhere.
Relax.
And you are submitting a naked woman's body.
This is a bathing suit.
Yeah,
It's a
AOC.
bathing suit.
And it has not been clear before this
This
committee.
glasses
big
on.
juicy
Do you wear
booty.
them or not? It's a
I have
bathing suit.
contacts in. Thank
Oh,
you.
congratulations.
Oh.
All right.
Oh my gosh. I have contacts in. Well, then why can't you see, AOC? What are you, blind? Look over here. It's a bathing suit. We know that she wants to date Alex Stein because he said that she had a big juicy booty and she was a hot tamale. So she knows what a bathing suit looks like, okay? She shakes that big juicy booty all around Congress. So she knows what's going on here. And she also has contacts on. Why can't she see?
Clear before this committee.
right.
Glasses on. Do you wear
Okay.
them or not? It's a
I have
bathing suit.
contacts in. Thank
Oh,
you.
congratulations.
Ask
All
Ms.
right, let's
Green
get back
proceed.
to it.
Now let's talk about more evidence the Democrats have denied that's turned out to be true. We all know Joe Biden is the big guy.
We do.
We confirmed that Hunter Biden was lobbying his father. Here's another example that was just released yesterday. This is from a timeline from one of the IRS whistleblowers and quotes an email between Vuk Jeremic, a Serbian politician, and Hunter Biden. Did you have a chance to talk with the big man? He's receiving my prime minister on Wednesday. Please let me know if you think that what we discussed back in D.C. can be mentioned in the meeting. My domestic strategy, how I proceed in dealing with my government, very much depends on whether it happens or not. This is a conversation between Hunter Biden and Vuk Jeremic.
Who's the big
This
man?
is called influence peddling. This is how Hunter Biden was selling his father's political power and influence. And this is a perfect example. This is evidence right here. I'd like to remind everyone that this is the beginning of the impeachment inquiry, where we're casting a wide net and finding every single person, whether it's last administration, the administration before that, and whether it's the current administration, that has covered up the
Chairman, point
crimes
of order.
of the Biden family. And we will continue pulling more
We're
evidence
54 seconds
forward.
over, Mr. Chairman.
All right, so Raskin's crying like a little baby over there. She's going over time. So, all right, so that is what happened in Congress. We have some very nice, very professional presentations. We have some other activity in Congress, and you can be the judge of what you'd like to see coming out of there, but it's all just Congress, that's for sure. But the good news is we've got the House sending subpoenas over to Joe and to Hunter Biden to get access to their bank records, where a lot of the fruits of the crimes are sure to be found. And of course, my friends, we'll be here to continue to cover it. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for going over to robertgovea.com to sign up for our daily newsletter so you get all the goodies delivered to your inbox. And we'll look forward to seeing you on the next one.